And it reminded me of crypto. It reminded me specifically of FTX. It's like we have the ability. We just don't have the willpower to go build these crazy, crazy things that FTX is building. It's like a little bit of like being an Italian living in the Roman Empire, like looking around saying, we used to build some incredible things, Jonah. We used to have prediction markets, and then you could flip from one page to another and trade Bitcoin at 100x leverage. And then you could use BMX token as collateral and everything was fine. Somebody go out there and build that. Bybit's taking a stab. I respect you, Bybit, for taking a stand.
Me too.
This episode is brought to you by Kraken OTC. Get access to 24/7 trading services for high net worth individuals and institutional clients to execute orders over $50,000. You'll hear more about them later in the show. As always, investments in blockchain technology involve risk, terms, and conditions apply.
Welcome back to another 1000X podcast. We are coming to you from a very interesting time. Right now, as we're speaking, there are a bunch of ballistic missiles being launched at all of the bases, US bases in the Middle East. And at least my group chats are freaking out and everybody's talking about it. But do you know what's not freaking out, Jonah?
What's not freaking out, Avi?
The market is not freaking out.
Yeah.
And actually what's kind of interesting is since that happened, I mean, oil's kind of been on a tear ever since tensions started up in the beginning of June. You know, we've gone up sizable amount from bottom to top, like 26% on CL1. And equities have sort of gone sideways, and it seems like the thing that got hit the most was actually Bitcoin and crypto in general. I mean, you see a lot of shit out there that kind of came off a decent amount.
Yeah.
So I mean, what do you think's going on? People are scared of this war.
I mean, I think the crude oil market tells you pretty much everything you need to know about the war. Like, there are a lot of tourists trading crypto on Iran headlines that don't really know what they're doing. Crude oil is a pretty efficient lens through which to view this whole conflict. So today, over the weekend, some pretty crazy stuff happened, right? Like, we had the United States of America basically entering, if you want to be alarmist about it, starting a new war in the Middle East. If you want to take a more moderate tone on what they did, just a targeted strike using B-2 bombers against Iran's nuclear sites. And, that's kind of new. It's unprecedented. So oil opened up, prompt oil opened up above $80 a barrel. And it's just been shanking all day. It's gone from, I guess there was like, I don't know if this is real or not, but there was like a wick up to 81.37. But let's just say the first real volume cleared at $80 a barrel. And it's now trading 74.21. This is Brent, right? You want to look at Brent when you look at oil, not WTI, because WTI's, West Texas crude, less bottleneck than it used to be, but Brent is really the global waterborne benchmark that reacts to geopolitical stuff like this. So, that's a $6 down day, kind of down only all day. And you wouldn't expect that, as you said, if there were missiles flying from Iran at United States air bases. But the reason why I think this whole conflict is just a screaming fade, why I think oil will continue to go lower from here, with some chop, of course, is because what people are really worried about in the oil market, and what we should be worried about as macro traders who trade crypto and equities, we're exposed to this conflict in sort of a geopolitical sense. We all share the same concern. Oil traders, you, me. The concern is that Iran shuts the Straits of Hormuz. If they don't shut the Straits of Hormuz, this is a big, who cares, right? Doesn't matter, this conflict. It doesn't impact anybody's bags other than maybe, if you're long like Iranian equities or something regionally relevant, Israeli bonds. But the thing that matters for the world is the Strait of Hormuz. And there's a lot of talk on Twitter about, they're going to shut it. Their parliament approved some measure that says they can shut it. And that's what everybody in our group chats are freaking out about. What these people don't realize, what the oil market does realize, is that Iran like couldn't shut the straits even if they wanted to, and they don't want to. So let's go through both of those things very quickly. Like they're having trouble landing more than 5% of the, you know, their shots fired on Israel right now. Most of it's getting intercepted, 90 to 95% of it. So that's just Israel. If they try to fire on the Strait of Hormuz, where you have like 3 aircraft carrier strike groups from the United States alone, Britain's got an aircraft carrier strike group there, and a bunch of other friendly nations around with, you know, interceptor missiles. Saudi has THAAD batteries, you know, all this stuff. Like if Iran starts trying to fire missiles at the Strait, there will be more defensive firepower ready to intercept those missiles than if they fire on like a random part of Israel, which is the size of New Jersey. The Strait of Hormuz is much smaller. Second thing is, why would they do that, right? Like if you want your enemies to link arms with your friends, sing Kumbaya together, and bomb the living piss out of you until you're back in the Stone Age, the fastest way to do it is to shut the Strait of Hormuz. Like the United States doesn't import any oil, or doesn't really have to. Like they'll import a little bit here to export a little bit there just to make the logistics easier. But net, they're not really an importer like they used to be. So if you want to punish the United States, don't cut off the supply of oil from the Gulf. All you do then is destroy the economy of your friend and, you know, weapon supplier, China. And you create a bunch of chaos that hurts your friends more than your foes. It makes no sense. So I don't think they want to do it. And even if they did, like if they hit the first boat, it would be kinetic war so fast, and they would get taken out so quickly by the army, like an allied force of armies from the United States to other Gulf countries that want maritime commerce through that strait. Like it wouldn't last 24 hours. So I think this is just a big fade.
I think you're 100% spot on with that assessment. And I'm not saying it from the analyzing the oil market like you are. Everything that you said sounds very logical to me, and sounds like Iran, you know, doesn't have the capability of shutting the Straits of Hormuz, and that it wouldn't really make sense to. But I come at it from a different angle as well, which is that basically since the start of the conflict, Iran hasn't been able to do anything, let alone piss off a bunch of other countries by shutting the straits and ship out oil. I think what's been proven is that this isn't really a risk of turning into a hot war just because of how one-sided the conflict is. I mean, they've basically managed to lob a few ballistic missiles at Israel, damage, you know, to tens of buildings, and, you know, unfortunately kill 24 Israelis, but they haven't been able to inflict any real damage. And if they were going to inflict any real damage, they would have done so by now, because Israel is striking them pretty hard. They're kind of just losing across the board, and they continuously signal, "Hey, we want an off ramp." So the way that I view this entire conflict, basically from the beginning, is it will be a nothing burger. This is not going to ignite a broader regional war. This is not going to send oil prices up, you know, another 25, 30%. This is going to be something that probably in a month is effectively over, and that we've all forgotten about. It really does not seem like they're really the only way for Iran to escalate is to bring China and Russia into the fight. They're not going to be able to. Putin actually got out there and said, "Hey, we here in Russia view Israel as a Russian-speaking country. 2 million out of the 10 million people in Israel speak Russian, and there are a bunch of ex-Soviets in there, and, you know, we're not really interested in going against them. Obviously, we'll continue our relationship with Iran because it's a good strategic partner, but they're not interested in helping Iran go after Israel, and really neither is China. And you can see that just from the actions. I mean, no one's really helped them out, and Iran continuously goes to the press and keeps feeding them little tidbits to indicate that we don't really actually want war, and we want to go back to the negotiating table. You saw those headlines 2 weeks ago or a week ago that said Iran is covertly trying to get back to the table. And even just now on these specific ballistic missile strikes, news broke that they informed all of the army bases ahead of time that this attack was coming. because they need to save face, but they know that this is a losing war. They know that there's kind of nothing that they can do here.
When executing large crypto orders, discretion and efficiency are key. Kraken OTC is built for high net worth individuals and institutions who need deep liquidity, seamless settlement, and 24/7 access to expert traders. Trade via chat or request fast, automated quotes for orders over $50,000. Visit kraken.com/blockworks to learn more. Availability of products may vary by jurisdiction, not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss and is offered to U.S. customers through Payward Interactive. View legal disclosures at kraken.com/legal/disclosures. Katana isn't another new general purpose blockchain. It's purpose built for DeFi users to provide the best experience possible. It does this by sustainably generating deeper liquidity and higher yield than any other network. If your assets are sitting idle, then they're dead. Katana is built from the ground up with DeFi mechanics to bring your bags back to life. All you have to do is bridge over, and Katana does the rest for you. Incubated by Polygon Labs and GSR, Katana launches with a notable ecosystem of primitives, assets, and partners like Morpho, Sushi, Vertex, Lombard, Chainlink, and Yearn. Be early to Katana. Join the pre-deposit campaign before mainnet opens at the end of this month. Deposit funds and open rewards filled with randomized amounts of KAT tokens. There's also a CryptoPunk and other exclusive NFTs hidden for the lucky ones. As always, investments in blockchain technology involve risk, terms, and conditions apply.
So my take on this is kind of what the market did, which is the market did nothing. The market has gone sideways. We've had a few days I'm talking about equities. So equities have gone sideways. Not really much of a bid. Now, Bitcoin has come off a lot. And I think Bitcoin has come off a lot because there was, I think there was a reasonable amount of exuberance to get us to hit 110, 112. We talked about this on the podcast. Basically, once we broke 102K, there was a huge increase in open interest. And what that tells me is that the move from 102 to 110 was just driven by open interest. So what happened was when the equity markets kind of stopped going up, there wasn't enough juice to really push the market higher. And so now we enter a consolidation period. And what happens during a consolidation period is when you get periods of exuberance, money flows into the shit coins. It flows into the world coins of the world. It flows into the Ethereums of the world. And those things tend to rally. And what did I keep telling everybody on the podcast? I said, ETH BTC up 30 to 50%, WorldCoin up 50 to 70%. Amazing opportunities for shorts. And I think I said WorldCoin was a great short at 120. It did go to 140, which you have to eat. Now it's at 82, right? It's like once these periods of exuberance kind of end and then we trade sideways for a bit, these are going to be great shorts. I'm of the opinion that ETH BTC is going back to the lows. This is, I think, actually a very nice place to short it. You got a nice bounce off the lows here. You can probably look for another. I think you can reasonably stop out if it trades up 8% past that 0.024 level, but you can look for a trade down to the 0.19 level. So that's a good RR from my perspective, because I think it's collapsing. Basically, I think the alt complex is going to be in trouble, and I think all of these things for one reason specifically, and that's I think we need a catalyst to really send BTC higher. And so I think BTC is very likely to range between 102 and 110 for the time being, potentially even lower. Sometimes when you get these sort of periods of consolidation, basically every time you get a period of consolidation at the highs, you do tend to have a pullback. So I could even see Bitcoin get down to 92. But basically, I'm not super bullish on alts right now. I don't think, I think this is a great time to actually go short the shit coins. And look for accumulation zones on the stuff that we like. This is going to be a period of opportunity in my personal opinion, because we're in an in-between period.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, we definitely know that alts bleed pretty hard and fast when Bitcoin ranges. But before we sort of close the book on geopolitics, I guess there's one last comment I have on that before I sort of address some of the things you just said, which I think are super interesting. On geopolitics, the great thing for crypto traders, like none of you guys are trading oil, right? We're all trading crypto. To trade oil, you probably should work at an oil company. Otherwise, you're not going to be very successful. But everybody's talking about oil and watching oil. And the great thing that you can, since you don't have to trade oil, the great thing that you can do as a crypto trader is just kind of know that oil is going to lead crypto, right? Like if oil rips, crypto will probably sell off shortly thereafter. And if oil pukes, it tells you that the geopolitical risk factor that's been hammering crypto is kind of like subsiding a bit, and you can get a little bit more confident and comfortable and maybe even greedy. So oil is just this great leading indicator. You don't have to sit there and get in the weeds and freak out about geopolitics yourself. Like the oil market is already telegraphing the wisdom of the smartest crowd that follows that particular set of news items and the risk factors involved for global markets, including crypto. So, I don't think the crypto oil correlation is like so efficient and not laggy that you don't have a chance to get in and out of crypto looking at oil. Like oil moves down for a couple days, like you could probably get a little more confident bidding Bitcoin. That's kind of like my thought number one. Just a quick like footnote on that. The way the oil market trades, the reason why it rallied so hard on all of this Iran-Israel stuff was the fear. Like basically the way the oil market works is when fear prices in, like it prices in kind of gradually, like people start buying oil futures as hedges for things. Like people wait, equities traders will like wake up and be like, crap, I've got a portfolio full of airline stocks. I got to buy some oil here. It just kind of like people freak out slowly. And then when it becomes clear, like we're in a moment now where it's kind of like topping out, and you have to have some balls to short oil here. Like let's say that you short oil and then they were wrong, and everybody else in the oil market's wrong, and they shut the Straits of Hormuz and succeed in shutting it for like weeks. Like you're going to lose your job, maybe your life savings. It's going to be bad, right? Like oil could go to $200. So there aren't really a lot of companies that can sell it. So right now you have a few brave souls with giant balance sheets, right? And really stable careers shorting it. And most other people aren't. But then after a few more days or maybe weeks of this, like everybody who bought oil as a hedge or to maybe try to participate if there was like an outsized, like fat-tailed move, like everybody's just going to get out. And the oil market's going to dump right back down. And then you can be damn sure that a couple of days later, crypto and equities are going to rally. And there's actually a phrase for this in the oil market. It's called escalator up, elevator down, because you kind of like grind upwards as these geopolitical strikes like factor into the market. And then when the risk goes away, you just dump. Like it's just like a big red candle all the way down. So escalator up, elevator down is kind of, well, like we took the escalator up and we're starting to take the elevator down. And you can see it in the chart. We could be wrong. Oil could be wrong. Something crazy could happen. But like, people have been talking about this poly market thing. Oh, will Iran shut the straits? Like poly market says 60%. Well, poly market's definition of shutting the Straits of Hormuz is so vague that like you and I could shut the Straits of Hormuz and trigger that market with a friggin' like Zodiac with a machine gun on it. Like it basically says like they disrupt maritime traffic. Like it doesn't even specify a period of time. It's a joke. So like the poly market's garbage. Wish there was a way to spin up a different prediction market on this, but like your real prediction market's oil. So that's thing number one. Thing number two is alt season or reverse alt season, like ETH BTC. Are we going back into this world where everybody who just accumulated a bunch of altcoins in sort of this previous euphoric risk on mode that ensued before the geopolitical stuff got scary? Like, are all those people about to lose a bunch of money? Are we about to lose a bunch of money on our alts if we haven't already? And like, that's where I'm not sure I agree with you. I don't have a strong view, so I'm not going to like try to say you're wrong and debate you on it. But I am kind of expecting like a pretty rapid finale to all of this. I expect lower commodity prices, economic certainty, higher stocks, And unlike previous times where we've had this sort of like strong economic backdrop with diminishing geopolitical risks, like this time the crypto fundamentals are looking, let's set aside all these like weird vehicles that buy like MicroStrategy copycats that like buy crypto assets. Like that's a little frothy and weird and scary. But like aside from that, the Circle IPO is just like performing so well. Like the
But
Genius Act.
Here's my issue with this, Jonah.
People can't get enough crypto. Like TradFi can't get enough
this
crypto.
This is now reaching absurdity levels. I mean, for Circle's market cap to be getting at USDC's market cap is insane. Like,
that is ridiculous.
Like,
I have a trade for you.
This is
Can
like
I pitch you a trade?
Clear and utter sign of froth and bubble, but we're seeing weakness in the main asset. That tells me that you're close to some sort of pullback. You see weakness in Bitcoin, but you see Circle trading at absurd valuations. Smells to me like we're getting closer to the end. And this was very much a shift from what I was previously thinking, because I don't think the pullback in crypto, alt, Bitcoin, anything has to do with geopolitics. I actually think that geopolitics was like a fun little issue for us to decipher, but it didn't move the equity markets, or it barely moved the equity markets. I don't think it's the reason for ETH trading down 25%. It just doesn't really smell right. I think what it did is
ETH doesn't smell right. What about Bitcoin?
Well, basically what it said is, oh my God, we're in full force euphoria. Let's just send the market up as rapidly as possible. Let's just buy things hand over fist because we can't think of any risk vectors. And then geopolitics comes out and says, the Iran war comes out, and everyone's like, okay, hold on. Let's just cut the euphoria for a little bit. Let's just trade reasonably. And so then the market goes sideways, but crypto was already in sort of this mini bubble. And so it comes off a lot. And I think I don't necessarily see us immediately sending back into a euphoria phase. I think you need a little bit of a cool off phase before doing that. And, to argue against that, maybe we've had that cool off phase because we've been trading sideways, since early May. But what I've seen in the past is you tend to get longer periods of sideways. I mean, once we hit the peak in March of 24, we went sideways for, we went sideways for almost for more than 6 months. The most recent period of sideways was November to February, in which we ended up trading lower, and that was a substantial period of time. We've only had about a little bit more than a month of trading sideways here, and so I think we can digest a little bit before the next leg up. And during those digestion periods, the stuff that isn't actually good tends to come down a lot, which is why I like the idea of buying Bitcoin on days where there are liquidations, like yesterday, and shorting alt and maybe shorting ETH BTC. Like that's sort of my trade right here. I think it's a reasonably good time to get to continue pressing a trade that's actually worked reasonably well over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's fair. I like that.
Because I mean, do you think we immediately jump back into euphoria here? Like, you think, all right, that's it, we bottom now Bitcoin's just going to send straight to the high heavens? Or do you think that we need a little period to digest?
No, I mean, you're right. Like, we need to digest this. So I guess if you're like me, trying to pick a point to add risk, DCA into more crypto, it's probably not right this second. I agree with you.
And can we talk about Circle? I mean,
that's what I was about to talk about.
How do we make money on this thing? I mean, this is so clearly massively overvalued. But I was looking at options today, and the vol is just unbelievable.
No, you don't. Well, okay, you can do one of two things. You can sell calls, which takes some balls, or here's an idea for you, Avi. Buy Coinbase stock, sell Circle stock, short Circle stock, notional neutral. What do you think of that trade? That's the one I wanted to run by you and pitch you.
I'd say it again.
Buy Coinbase, short Circle. So long Coinbase, short Circle, pair trade.
Long Coinbase, short Circle. I like
Coinbase's
long
market cap is okay. Long hood, just basically long real crypto company, short like hyper inflated crypto company. If crypto goes up, or if we continue, like you don't want to be short Circle outright because that's dangerous. If Bitcoin goes to 150K on some sort of euphoric trade, you want to be invested in something that'll help you participate. Or long Bitcoin, short Circle.
I think long Bitcoin, short Circle is a great trade. But
I think that's the trade.
I do agree with the framing. I mean, why are people buying Circle? I think
TradFi can't get enough crypto. That's why.
TradFi can't get enough stable coins. I think
stable coins.
I think that, you know, they need
long XPL plasma, short Circle. That's tougher to do, and also like XPL is less liquid. I just think, honestly, like Coinbase is Circle. Like Coinbase is the biggest recipient of Circle money, right? Like if people need more USDC, that most of that dough goes to Coinbase. I think what's going to happen is either we range sideways and Circle comes back down to earth, or we keep like risk assets, including crypto, keep ripping, and then rates get cut. And then I think the most hilarious situation would be rates get cut, everything rips except Circle, because Circle's like so exposed to interest rates.
Dude, these calls are, let me just, I want you to take a guess. Circle is currently trading 270.
Yep.
The 350 call on August
expiring
1st.
when?
August 1st. It's coming. August 1st. What do you think it trades at in dollar amount?
Okay, if I had to guess the dollar amount of that, I haven't looked at the options chain or anything. I would say, okay, so August 1st is a week away. No, a month and a week away. Sorry, it's not July 1st. So, oh man, that's going to be like 70 bid at 90.
It's 34.
34. Okay.
But still, that's pretty, like, that's freaking rich.
Yeah, I was going crazy, but no, that's insane.
I mean, like, okay, the July 3rd, which is a week away.
Sorry, what did you say the strike was of this call?
350.
And it's 270 right now, so it can't be that. Yeah, all right. So I made a really stupid mistake. I thought you said 450. You can't have who would pay $90 for something that's less than $90 out of the money? Yeah, that would be a little insane. So I hear you. I think 35 is a pretty crazy price.
And I mean, the 350 call July 3rd is $15. I mean, the yield on that is just kind of unbelievable.
Still, it's hard to sell after what the thing just 10x'd, right? Like,
yeah, but that's
7x'd.
Probably the best time to sell these calls.
You could have made that argument like $100 ago, though.
I don't know about that. Like, the reason that I'm making this argument now is specifically because, well, first of all, we're now like at a truly unbelievable market cap, like crossing USDC in terms of market cap, which just makes absolutely no sense. And I think that is kind of what it takes to wake people up to, wait a second, this is an insane trade. Is you sort of hit a number that everyone goes, wait a second, it's worth more than the market cap of the thing that it's making 2% on.
So maybe that's the way you reduce your crypto exposure if you're worried about chop, is you just keep your crypto portfolio intact and sell some Circle calls or short some Circle stock. And then, because like it will go up if crypto rips. Like if Bitcoin trades to 130K right now, Circle is not going down. It's correlated with the broader space, I would think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So I do think that's probably a reasonably good trade, Jonah. buy
Yeah.
some Bitcoin. Maybe you can buy half Bitcoin, half coin, and short some Circle.
Yeah. Coinbase is still rock solid, I think.
Yeah, I was very skeptical about them because of the issues that they were coming out with, all these like hacks and losing customer deposits. And to be completely honest, the UI kind of sucks, but they just keep trucking along.
When executing large crypto orders, discretion and efficiency are key. Kraken OTC is built for high net worth individuals and institutions who need deep liquidity, seamless settlement, and 24/7 access to expert traders. Trade via chat or request fast, automated quotes for orders over $50,000. Visit kraken.com/blockworks to learn more. Availability of products may vary by jurisdiction, not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss and is offered to U.S. customers through Payward Interactive. View legal disclosures at kraken.com/legal/disclosures. Katana isn't another new general purpose blockchain. It's purpose built for DeFi users to provide the best experience possible. It does this by sustainably generating deeper liquidity and higher yield than any other network. If your assets are sitting idle, then they're dead. Katana is built from the ground up with DeFi mechanics to bring your bags back to life. All you have to do is bridge over, and Katana does the rest for you. Incubated by Polygon Labs and GSR, Katana launches with a notable ecosystem of primitives, assets, and partners like Morpho, Sushi, Vertex, Lombard, Chainlink, and Yearn. Be early to Katana. Join the pre-deposit campaign before mainnet opens at the end of this month. Deposit funds and open rewards filled with randomized amounts of KAT tokens. There's also a CryptoPunk and other exclusive NFTs hidden for the lucky ones. As always, investments in blockchain technology involve risk, terms, and conditions apply.
You know what I'm really excited for? I do think that the next major IPO is going to tell us a lot about the state of the market. I'm hopeful that Ripple can pull something off this year as a holder of some shares. I do think that this is, I mean, like I was saying on the last pod, this is the new ICO. This is how this is how people are now making their money, and it's great if you can get in on the ground floor, but I do think it ends in tears at some point.
Man, Ripple's another one.
Think of like who's buying Circle here and how much money are they going to lose?
It's probably some poor retail person just bidding it because they think they think it's the best way to get exposure to stablecoins. I honestly, these are signs of froth that should be worrisome to us, but it just, I don't see the froth in the Bitcoin market, so I'm not worried about that. Funding looks fine. Altcoins have just traded off 50%. Like I'm not seeing the, like in the token markets, there's no signs of froth yet. It's these weird equity plays. Like if Ripple must be racing to do an IPO right now, watching what's happening with Circle. Like this is the most insane, like mania driven moment I've seen in the equities market since, I'm trying to think, like maybe there was a cloud security startup moment for IPOs, but really this feels a lot like 1999, except for crypto companies. Like Circle, they earn $18 million a year in EBITDA. Ripple, like no one can tell me what they actually do. I don't know what Ripple does. Do you know what Ripple does? But like they're worth so much.
I mean, yeah, they sell Ripple.
Yeah. So
and
this is a
not
great time
necessarily
for
a bad thing. But I mean, this is sort of what I'm talking about. I don't know if you saw the news that there are a bunch of hedge fund veterans. This is the CoinDesk article, hedge fund veterans, and it's funny because I'll share the names. Former Coral Capital Holdings, Patrick Horseman, Joshua Kruger, and Jonathan Pash. Former hedge fund veterans means they ran a crypto hedge fund that nobody's ever heard of, but yeah. They plan to raise $100 million to buy Binance BNB token through a Nasdaq listed shell company. This is the trade. Like this is the trade. I'm getting hit day after day with people saying, "Hey, I got this idea. We have this shell company that failed their FDA trials and we bought it for $1 million. And so now we have a public company and we're going to turn it into a treasury. And do you want to buy do you want to like help us out? Getting this pitch a lot. I've said no to every single one so far. It's kind of nuts. And
no one in my friend group has pitched me that, Avi.
oh,
That's hilarious.
Well, I'm getting this pitch all the time. It's crazy. And
the pitch, sorry, go on.
It's like, and one of the reasons I'm saying no is because I do think it's like a little predatory. And I'm probably not going to get many offers after going on this podcast and saying that I think it's a little bit predatory. But I do think that a lot of them are going to do very well from the get-go because there's clearly a lot of demand. So what I'm sort of starting to realize is that there are actually like not a lot of people in crypto that are paying attention to this, that are like your average crypto person. They're still like in the meme coin world. But basically what I would do if I were like a average crypto investor right now and I didn't have a ton of capital is I'd be looking at all these listings and trying to buy them day one and like flip them day two. Because that seems to be working pretty well so far. Like buying these Treasury companies, I think will work for the next, I don't know, maybe 3 months, 5 months, who knows? But like keep doing it until it stops working, basically, and stop trying to like, screen like stop. You're no longer on Deck Screener looking for new token launches. Go like screen for what's going on. Like go read these articles. Like try to figure out who's doing what and how you can buy it day one. Because I do think people can make some good money doing this. I mean, another way of doing it is just email these people, ask to get in.
I don't know. I feel like that may work. I just don't understand the dynamics of this trade. Like who is buying them on day one? Like who's buying them on day two? Who's buying them on day 30? I don't understand the flows.
For example, for this one, which again I have no ties to and I'm not a part of. I think it is a compelling pitch specifically because people don't have access to investing in BNB. Like your average person does not see a way to get an ownership in Binance, even though it's by far and away the largest cryptocurrency exchange and makes money hand over fist. If you're an institution, you don't own any Binance, you don't own any stock, you don't own any BNB because you can't. So it's like, who's tokenizing the stuff that traditional institutions might want to own, or somebody in a 401k might want to own, or some wealth advisors would say, yeah, own a piece of Binance, right?
See, to me, this seems ass backwards. Like the whole point of crypto is to tokenize equities, which are sort of inefficient, trade from 9:30 to 4:30, kind of unavailable to most people in the world. Like you bring it on chain, it trades 24/7, 365. A farmer in Chad has, just as little friction buying IBM stock as like a, tradfi investor in the United States of America. Like that's the promise of crypto. That's what it's supposed to be doing. It's hilarious that like the exact opposite is happening, right? Like you have BNB, extremely liquid token, right? Incredible depth in the stack for BNB. And you have these people just like, BNB, the token isn't available to like institutional US investors. So I'm going to like reverse the process I just described and like list it on a stock exchange via a shell company with, probably tons of management fees and hidden stuff. And then it's going to become kind of like a pump and dump structure that'll undoubtedly be abandoned after 6 months or a year. It's kind of funny that this is going on. It feels a little bit skeevy to me. Like that's probably why you said you're not getting involved, right? It's sort of the opposite of what
it's sort of the opposite, but it's like in the same way that I'm not going to go like take allocations from like pump.fund tokens, but I'm going to sit here on this podcast and tell you, a year ago when they were going ham, hey, it's probably a good way to make some money.
Oh yeah, right? No, I wasn't saying it's not a good way to make money.
That's sort of like my take here is I'm not gonna, I've made enough money in my life that I don't feel the need to make money like this. However, I can tell you it's probably a good way, to make some money if you want to sit there and try to flip them.
Yeah, I mean, look, like the money flipping these things is as green as money made doing anything else, right? So I agree with you. It's probably a good way to make some money. What I don't understand about this market, I'm one of my trading like philosophies is don't try to make money trading things you don't understand or like have very limited understanding of. With meme coins, it kind of clicked for me. It's like, look, this is literally just a pyramid scheme. Like you're passing money. It's hot potato. It's musical chairs. Like it's a game we've all played before, and you just don't want to be the last one caught holding the bag. And if you get in early, it's better. And if the meme is more viral or has more virality to it, like that's better because it means more eyeballs will be on it, and there's a higher likelihood that somebody else gets caught holding the bag, giving you the time to get out. So like I understood meme coins. Here, just having no idea who the participant base is, I would feel personally less confident. And the reason why I did occasionally dabble in meme coins and why I won't dabble in this is because if something is as opaque to me as this, like it's still just a pyramid scheme. It's a hot potato game or musical chairs, whatever you want to call it. But you don't know who's like how long people are going to be getting in. It's hard to like assess the virality either with your head or your gut. And it's also hard to know like how these people think and when they get out. Like unless you are really getting in on day one, which I think, has a lot of convexity to it. I agree with you. It would be very dangerous to play in this game because with the meme coin stuff, if you want to analyze what the other investors are doing, just like look in the mirror, right? If you're feeling like FOMO, if you're feeling like Bowden is going to go to $60 billion of FDV, like that's probably what everybody else is thinking too, which means it's time to get out, right? And vice versa. So with these things, I would say like two pieces of advice. Number one, don't feel shy about missing a trade you don't understand, because more often than not, when you dabble in things, when you put money into things that you don't understand, you just lose it. Number two, if you're not in on day one, like it's probably already too late. Like day one when they launched the whatever friggin' vehicle, to your point, you don't want to be in on day two. You want to be out on day two. This is super risky, these treasury things. But let's say, okay, question for you. Let's say that all these treasury stocks one day just start vomiting, which is obviously going to happen. Is that going to be bad for our Bitcoin bags or just bad for our altcoin bags? Like, will it be contained or will it be systemic for crypto?
It's a good question. I think it would definitely bring down the broader market. Because I think what would happen is people would start worrying about what's the OG treasury stock? It's MicroStrategy, right?
Yeah.
So when you have the rest of the market puking, I think then there becomes fears about, okay, well, if MicroStrategy starts puking, what does that bring with it? And the answer is nothing until 2027, as far as I'm aware. However, I do think that it causes some fear in the market, which is why, again, like I get nervous when I see things like Circle, which I looked up, trading at a $64 billion market cap. Like I get nervous because I think that represents a decent amount of money that got pushed into this thing. And if it starts, if like kind of crashes across the board, then I think you're in trouble.
It's basically flat to the market cap of
Coinbase. At least a short term. But I don't think that it's long term. I think it's probably like a week-long sell-off in that particular case because I don't think that there's a lot of cross-asset holding across these. I mean, I don't think there are people that are, their circles down, so they're going to sell a ton of Bitcoin. I think people like it would mostly be like smart money trying to trade it effectively, which I think would be over in, a few days to a week. That's assuming, of course, it doesn't go down for like some market-wide reason.
Yeah. We're sort of assuming all else is being held equal.
Correct.
Dude, this Circle at 67 billion. Coinbase's market cap is 77 billion. So you're basically, if you bought Coinbase and sold Circle, you'd basically be doing it almost at flat market cap. What's 10 billion between friends? Coinbase's EBITDA is close to $1 billion. They're a custody solution, an exchange, an L2. Like Coinbase is a real business. Circle is literally just like it's like a funding arb. I don't get it, Avi. This is crazy. I feel like the only way to make money on Circle is to just short it and be long something else in case crypto rips while you're short.
But
It's the only thing to do.
Like how are you going to short this thing super effectively?
I don't know. I mean,
so much vol. I would just want to sell calls on this thing, to be completely honest.
Yeah, probably a quick way to make $35 a share.
Yeah. You don't have enough shares of Circle for the collateral needed to place this order. Is Robinhood only making you I think it might require these calls to be covered. Oh man. That's no fun. So I guess I'll buy it. I could buy puts, like already in the money puts.
If only we could do this. If only we were foreigners who could trade hyperliquid and these stocks were tokenized.
I mean, that
would
would
be pretty easy.
Sick.
Trading on TradFi platforms is just such a horrendous pain in the ass compared to trading on crypto native platforms. They've really optimized the experience for the user.
Yeah, it's truly amazing. Like, I can't wait for that to be the case. When you can just trade everything, you know, on hype. One thing that was fun is Bybit messaged me and said, "Hey, just so you know, we're launching all sorts of like commodities on Bybit," and I think that's probably the first step. Is you're going to see you're going to see people try to step up. You know, I was in Italy for the last. I'm still in Italy actually. I've been in Italy for almost 2 weeks now, and my
Did
first
people
stop
think
was,
you were Italian?
Oh
Did
yeah,
they
everybody thinks
speak to you in Italian?
Anywhere I go where the people are slightly brown, they just think I am that. So they'll speak to me in their language. And I'm in Sicily right now, which makes people think, wow, like, yeah, okay, this guy's definitely Sicilian. Look at this coloring. I'm not.
Yeah.
Don't speak any Italian. Don't think I ever will. But I'm in Rome for the first 4 days of the trip, and I'm walking around and I'm thinking to myself, like, it's crazy how Italy is now a poor country, but you're surrounded by these like amazing structures that you can't even build today because you don't have the political willpower. You have the ability to do it, but you just, you know, it's just not going to happen. There's just no way you're going to do this because it's going to cost too much money. Obviously, like, you can't. Like, it's not like we lost the ability. And it reminded me of crypto. It reminded me specifically of FTX. It's like we have the ability. We just don't have the willpower to go build these crazy things that FTX is building. It's like a little bit of like being an Italian living in the Roman Empire, like looking around saying, we used to build some incredible things, Jonah.
We used to have
we used to have 3x levered tokens for every asset under the sun. We used to have prediction markets, and then you could flip from one page to another and trade Bitcoin at 100x leverage. And then you could use BMX token as collateral and everything was fine. But nowadays,
100% APY yield on your USDC.
Exchanges that won't actually build what we need them to build. Somebody go out there and build that. Bybit's taking a stab. I respect you, Bybit, for taking a stab.
Me too. Respect Bybit. Respect Hyperliquid. I think tokenized commodities are really necessary. Equities are, I don't know how hard it is to trade US equities if you're offshore. It's probably pretty tough. So maybe tokenized stocks are important too for some people. But I think tokenized commodities are the real grand slam when somebody can eventually bring the perpetual future to markets like crude oil and break that monopoly or duopoly that ICE and the CME have. I think that'll be huge for retail investment in commodities. Until then, it's, you know, who cares?
Earlier in today's episode, I mentioned Ledger's latest products, the Stacks and Flex, and I wanted to take a few seconds to tell you more about them. These wallets feature the world's first secure touchscreens, which don't just simplify your digital transactions, but also keep them extremely safe. These wallets are virtually impenetrable to online attacks because they store your private key in a secure offline chip. You can manage more than 5,500 tokens and install up to 100 apps. Choose the most trusted name in hardware wallets and take control of your digital security today at ledger.com or hit the link in the description of today's episode to check out their latest wallets. As always, investments in blockchain technology involve risk, terms, and conditions apply.
Should we talk about Tron going public? That's another one that it's just like, I saw the news. I don't know if I was hallucinating or not, but I feel like Tron has gone from this like pariah chain to about to go public. I think that one might be another crazy roofer.
Let me just stop you for a second. Do you know what it means for Tron to go public?
Tell me, Avi.
Answer the question, Jonah. When we talk about Tron goes public, what do we mean? The token? Like, what the fuck's like? What is going public? I'm like, genuinely like asking you this question. Like, what is going public?
I don't know, but I guess my question in response to your question is, does it even matter? It's a crypto IPO, and Circle just went ballistic. So maybe it just rallies for no reason. Honestly, it feels like investing in pets.com in 1999.
SRM Entertainment's the one that's quote unquote going public. It rallied 650%. It looks like since the announcement, which is pretty crazy. I guess well done SRM Entertainment for doing this. We just have to like, if you're out there and you're thinking, how do I make money? Start cold calling penny stocks. So like start cold calling the owners of penny stock companies, being like, listen, buddy, do I have the deal of a lifetime for you? Have you heard of Tau? Buy some. Go public.
Yeah. This is seriously like, this is like Wolf of Wall Street or Boiler Room, where this is like the JT Marlin securities of our time. Like this is so, man, I'm not dabbling in any of this crap.
I just do want to point this out. Like you could have bought this thing at announcement and like pumped like 50% after the announcement, and you could there's like a delay of like an hour. So that's kind of what I'm trying to explain. Is like there are all these like you can't make these trades. It seems because it seems like people aren't necessarily like they don't have a good filtering mechanism, and they don't have a way to ingest when something like this happens immediately. And so you can buy, like, if you can generate that framework, you can probably make a decent amount of money on this. I mean, obviously the better way to do it would just be like be in the know. But I'm not in the know. Like Justin Sun did not tell me he was doing this. Shame on you, Justin. You should have called me. Why did you not call me?
Yeah, honestly, at this point, I'm a little bit confused. Like, I guess the bigger, broader question is like, how do you make money over the next 3 months? Do you A, hold Bitcoin? B, try to cycle through?
Well, hype has been doing really well, Jonah.
I'm getting to that. I guess so. B, cycle through these sort of like publicly traded treasury companies. It's the strategy we discussed before on the podcast, which is get in early and get out slightly less early. Or C, do you trade altcoins? And it feels like the consensus that's appearing on Twitter is hold Bitcoin and hype. That is like, those are the golden bags for the next bull, the next leg of this bull run. And hype has been trading Teflon throughout this whole geopolitical.
Hype is great.
Yeah.
And syrup's been doing, syrup's been
hanging
too,
in there.
And WorldCoin's been going down. My portfolio is looking pretty good, actually, Jonah.
Yeah, so is mine. I like the hyperliquid. I think I think maybe simpler is better. Like there's all sorts of, maybe take like 5% of your portfolio and screw around with these treasury companies just to learn something or try to sell some circle calls. But I don't know. I think the odds are so much better in Bitcoin and hyperliquid. It feels it's the only problem with that trade is that it's totally consensus, but it's such a good trade.
It's consensus for now, but I mean, the first one, when hyperliquid treasury company?
Mm-hmm.
Got to be coming soon.
When hyperliquid IPO. Hopefully never.
Anyway, Jonah, may the odds ever be in your favor, right? That's what they say.
Same to you. Buonasera, Avi. Buonasera.
Buonasera.
You got that face, like you could be, like, how in 90s action movies, they would just cast like kind of nondescript, like bad guys. You couldn't quite pin what race or like nationality they were.
Like Anton Chigurh.
Who?
The guy from No Country for Old Men.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a great movie. Anyway, have fun being Italian for another few days.
I will enjoy it. Adios.
Later. Nothing said on the 1000X podcast is a recommendation to buy or sell any investments or products. This podcast is for informational purposes only, and the views expressed by anyone on the show are solely their opinions, not financial advice or necessarily the views of Blockworks. Our hosts, guests, and the Blockworks team may hold positions in the company's funds or projects discussed.